This is the Finesse Media Podcast.
Let's do this thing, right? We're back. We're back with a whole new month. March, last month, we kicked things off and shouted out to all of our chefs who came on last month, keeping things hot and spicy in the kitchen. And that's exactly what we're doing, kicking things off. Month of March is Women's History Month. And I'll tell y'all, I could not have had the best guest on with two almost guest. You see her. She's my co-host from season 3. You see her in the building. My guest co-host for tonight's episode, my girl Latrice Teresa Millionaire Murray, holding it down. What's going on, girl?
Hey, what is the deal? I'm all the way in wonderful Waukegan, Illinois.
You in
So
my
cold.
area. You in
Oh,
my
it's so
area.
cold.
Yeah,
We had a
Teresa, hit
nice
me up.
day today. I never would think a nice day would be like 47 degrees, but I was like, oh God, it feels so great today.
Yeah,
Never
no.
would never would you have thought.
You enjoy it,
Yeah.
you know that's again my area where you are in Waukegan. So yeah, you stay warm, but we again keeping it hot, keeping things rocking for Women's History Month, and joining
Spicy.
us to kick things off once again, finessing the game. We're bringing our guests on for the first time. Welcome to the Finesse Media Podcast. I'm gonna let you know real quick who she is. If you haven't seen her already and seen the clips that we showed before we started this episode, I'll let you know who she is. This Vanessa is joining us tonight, and her name is Orange Coffee, also known as Cat or Caddy Blow Your Horn. And as Beyonce's saxophonist on the Renaissance tour and movie, she's no stranger to lighting up the stages worldwide. And her latest single, Listen, featuring key minor Donna Alfred II and Amani, is proof of her unmatched talent. She's joining me again for the first time on the Finesse Media Podcast. She's a saxophonist, again, like me, y'all already told offline. I got a little something in my horn too, man. But again, welcome to the podcast, kicking things off for Women's History Month. My girl, Orange Coffee. What's up, lady?
Yeah.
How y'all doing? I'm so excited to be here. I've heard about this podcast, and I'm just excited to be here to share the space. I love that blue instrument. You don't have to let me play it. You don't have to let me
Listen,
play it. I want to hear what it sounds like. The lacquer, everything. But Latrice, I don't know, 40. I'm over here, and it's 65 in LA, and I'm like,
you cold.
Listen.
No, I'm from
Listen.
Chicago. I'm in Texas now, but I'm from Chicago. So I've been talking to my mom, and she's like, "Yeah, we've been getting 50s all week." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's not unusual," they say, for this time of the year, but it still to me seems unusual because we're normally in snow from what I can remember.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
Orange,
yeah.
listen, you talked about the saxophone and you saw it. Listen, it didn't cost $10, which I really saw something you said, and I wanted to go right there. You said that my first instrument my dad brought me from a crackhead was $10 saxophone. Now I need to understand, and my audience also wants to know much more about you, but me particularly, I want to know for the start of it. Is this how
Mm.
the saxophone love started for you? You got the saxophone from your dad as a gift, I'm assuming. But tell our viewers, how did it all start? Was that your first indoctrination of the love
So
of
it wasn't a
saxophone?
saxophone. It was a
It,
clarinet, and
it
it
was a
was
clarinet.
$10. Yes, and it was $10
Oh.
for crackhead. It's a true story. I
Wow.
told this story to all of my students when they would be like, instruments are too expensive. I was like, look, my daddy got my first instrument for my crackhead for $10,
That's
and
dope.
it's true. It's a true story. It's like, and I always say, I hope that he cleans it because I didn't even think about it. I really do hope he cleaned it. That clarinet had to go through it. Um, yeah, instruments are not they're really expensive. So
Yeah.
to be someone from the hood,
Yes.
it's hard to get your hands on an instrument. So whenever I can, I try to team up with organizations like Band of Angels that gives instruments back to students. I had a slew of instruments that I saw myself having in storage or that I acquired through the years, and I always do try to give them back for free to students
Yeah.
that have wanted to play an instrument, because that was me. That was me at the age of 10 or 11. My parents could
Okay.
not afford a clarinet. A clarinet it's a piece of wood, but it's a
Yeah.
piece of wood that's a
It's
thousand eight hundred
expensive.
Yeah.
dollars.
It's very
Okay,
expensive.
Yeah,
It is.
expensive.
It
it
is.
is.
So you're saying that
So go
10
ahead.
years old, you're playing the clarinet. Is this when it all started? When did you first get the love for playing the horn or playing an instrument?
Uh, I really wanted to be a dancer,
Mm.
but my dad wanted to be a dancer. It didn't work out for him. So he projected that onto me. Like, it didn't work out for me. So that
I got to do it with you.
so then he was like, you should be a musician because you can work all of your life. And so I just followed his thing. They wanted me to be a trumpet player. It didn't work out. They gave me the clarinet. It's small. Tell you the truth, I don't like carrying a lot of stuff. So it was like, yeah, that one, the smallest one. But it works for me. I played classical clarinet for a while. And I remember one of my sisters that's now doing great in the jazz scene, Lakeisha Benjamin, was in school with me. And she was like, why don't you play saxophone? And I was like, because, yeah, no. She was like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And so I was like, well, I want to go to Juilliard and I want to be in a symphonic. And she was like, okay. She pulled up a picture and she was like, does anybody look like us in that symphonic?
Wow.
And now there are a lot of orchestras that are Black orchestras, and there are many opportunities for people of color in orchestras. However, back then she was right. It was like, what am I planning to do? What am I planning to do with this instrument? And so I was like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to say that I don't want to play this instrument, but I do want to be in a genre that's more inclusive. And so I decided to play saxophone, and that's how I got into saxophone.
Yeah, no, that's super dope. That's super
that
dope.
Makes sense.
We got love for saxophones, but what's your childhood? Where are you from? I know you're on the West Coast, you said Brooklyn and whatnot. So talk to our viewers of kind of who Orange Coffee is. I know Treese got a question about that name, but kind of where you're from. Let our listeners know. Let me know, because I'm so curious. I love the art, but I want to know who is the person behind this.
I'm from BK all the way, Jay, Biggie.
Okay.
It's hard because I'm a New Yorker. I feel like I'm all around New Yorker. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, in Crown Heights.
Okay.
And my story starts in a one-bedroom apartment on 318 Rochester Avenue, where the West Indian Day Parade starts, where you get dollar cabs to King's Plaza, and all you hear is dollar cab, King's Plaza, dollar cab. None of them have insurance, so if you get into an accident, you just
listen.
I've
been over there on the bus, the dollar bus.
Yep,
and they take you all around, and it's
not a bus
going.
though. If you just knew that it's not a bus. It's not legal. It's illegal. And they dollar cop, King's Plaza, and it's not legal. It is not legal. If you get into an accident, you just exactly. So
they have the drinks going. Best time ever. Right.
So I'm from BK, but then we moved to the Bronx around 16, 17. So a lot of my identity was formed in the Bronx as well. So I cannot say that I'm not from the Bronx. When I became a young lady, my first kiss was like on the steps, going up to the hood steps going into 183rd Street, so my first apartment was in Harlem. So it's like, I cannot say that I'm just from one place. I've lived everywhere in New York. Who's Orange Coffee? Orange Coffee is a Boricua, Afro-Rican young lady that didn't think that she was going to make it out the hood. And here I am in movie theaters, going around the world, figuring it out. Listen, I'm still figuring out who she is. But I know one thing, she's not the person that she was 20, 30 years ago. Child, I'm 40.
Yeah.
Hey, you said it. You said it, because I'm over here like trying to figure things out here, right? Because I know how it is. The agent is certainly not agent over there, and I'm like, okay, but yeah, 40 and kicking ass. Go ahead.
That melanin popping. That's what I'm talking about. The melanin is like, yes, I'm coming through for you. I know that the other people are trying to get you, but the melanin, I got you. I got you.
Yeah, and you got some dance moves too. We'll talk about that a little bit later in this episode. But you got some dance moves too. I saw you on stage. You got some moves too. But go ahead, Trish. You got the next question.
So, where did the name Orange Coffee come from? How did you get that name?
A whole lot of soul searching came into that name. I first derived the name because I wanted to go into a partnership with my friend that never ended up going into fruition. And because it took me forever to look up the name and think of the name, I
Mhm.
was like, I'm gonna keep the name because
Mm.
I thought of the dope name. And thank God she didn't have an issue with that. Um, it took me a while to dive in on why I picked that name, but as
Mm.
I took time to look into it, because it took me time to look into it with my therapist, actually. Coffee, I'll start with coffee. Coffee brings me one of the most, the smell of coffee brings me one of the most joyous memories of my parents. Now,
Nice.
I don't know if you all have a wonderful memory growing up of a joyous household, but in my household there was a lot of arguments.
Mhm.
There's a lot of like you girl. There was a lot of that
Mm.
going on, and I don't think that I've ever spoken about that. I have a song that's going to come out on my next record that speaks about that, but I don't think that I've ever spoken about it. And so the only time that was joyous that I remember was in the morning when my mom was making a pot of coffee and my dad was reading his daily
Mm.
news, and they were going on about what was happening in the world, and they still hadn't gotten into their problems. They were still just talking about the
Mm.
world problems. So they still were on the same page.
Mm.
They were still in the communication moment.
Mhm.
I remember being a little girl peeking around the corner while my mom was making the coffee and spelling it and still seeing them laughing and wanting them to stay in that moment. So coffee is a huge trigger for me that I didn't
Mm.
realize was a trigger. Um,
Mm.
a trigger when I think of my ancestry. I think of my grandfather, like meeting him in Puerto Rico, and he had a little coffee house where we would go in the back, and I would mow the coffee, like whatever the little thing that you not mow. That's tripping. Well, I would just put it in the coffee grinder, and I would
The
grind
Grinder,
the
yeah.
coffee.
grinder.
And
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
remember that story. Like I remember that feeling of feeling efficient,
Mhm.
of feeling good, of feeling. I hate the word renewal because Beyonce has literally banged it into the ground. Like every time you hear now the word renewal, you think of Renaissance. But it's a moment of like me saying, okay, this is a good moment. It's a good place.
Yeah.
The color orange is one of my favorite colors. I think it's vibrant. I'm a vibrant person. I like when I come
Mm.
into a room, I want to feel like and there's a party going on. Let's have a good time. Even
Yeah.
getting a little older, so my parties are getting sooner. You know what I'm saying? Like let's
Yeah.
party from 7:10,
Yeah,
not
we
from
gotta go
9
Yeah.
home and catch the
12.
10 o'clock news.
But with
Yeah.
that being said, orange coffee for me brings that joyous, vibracious feel. I want you to feel a sense of comfort when you hear my music. I
Mhm.
want you to hear my pain, but I also want you to hear how my pain grew into something beautiful.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
orange coffee is all of that. It's an evolution of who someone thinks they are, how you evolve into something else. Orange coffee is something
Mm.
you might not know. Like literally, when I first thought of it, the words, I was like, I just want a name like The Who or Rolling
Yeah.
Stones, something that you
Mhm.
don't really
Okay.
know
Yeah.
what it means, but it stays in your head.
Yeah,
So
it's very
when it first
catchy.
started, it was like, who's Cat Rodriguez? Okay, that's cool,
Mhm.
but
And that's your real name, you're saying?
yeah, that's my real name.
Yeah.
That's a cool name, but is it as cool as orange coffee? It's proven not to be. It's proven where people remember orange coffee. I get off that stage, orange coffee, orange. And I'm
Yeah.
in the beginning, I was like, who?
Mm.
Who they calling? And then now I'm like, oh, they calling me.
Oh, it's
Okay, like
me.
people remember my
Yeah.
name. So
Yeah.
it's a part of me that had to take time. And I became a professor of music, a teacher, and I wanted to also differentiate Cat Rodriguez, the person on the person that has to teach you, the person that's the side person, the person that's not the front person. Orange coffee is that front person. I'm coming in,
Right.
I'm here, I'm vibrant,
Mhm.
I'm in my skin, I'm
Yeah.
feeling it, I'm in my house, all of that.
Yeah.
Nice. So with that, your orange coffee is kind of the other personality, but it's still so much deep and rooted. It's you. So when it comes to style, like how would you describe your music style? Like what would you how would you describe it? Because I listened to a few of your songs off of your page, like the one "Want Me Back." I love that. The bass
Yeah, that
line is
bass.
Oh, it's
so
coming.
That bass
funky
is so
on there.
funky. Oh
Oh my
yeah.
God. That
Ooh,
bass
so,
is
Yeah.
so funky.
so
It is
A,
so
all the
funky.
bass lines in this next album are incredible because the bass line doesn't stay the same. I literally told the bass
Nice.
players, go ahead and do what you do.
Do your
So that's
thing.
what,
Yeah.
and the bass player on Want Me Back is a girl, Sweets, killing it.
Oh
Ooh,
Yes, yes.
wow.
Y'all gotta check
nasty.
her out. Yes,
Wow.
yes.
What's her
Tanya,
name?
Sweets.
Sweet.
Yes, and
And she
she
is
hails
just
from
that.
Houston.
She's
Mm.
sweet.
Mhm.
Yeah.
She hails from Houston,
Yeah.
and she's dope. She's a dope bass player. And I'm so excited for y'all to hear. She's on this song, Want Me Back, and she's also on a blues that I wrote.
Nice.
Balance is strong. And so going back to your question, yes, Orange Coffee is that alter person that I go to. Who is Orange? What does that sound? I think of
Mm.
the people that I grew up listening to. And I just ended up doing a jam session the other day with someone that I love, Sput C. Wright. He's a drummer for
Mm.
Taylor. And I don't know if you know Sticks Taylor, drummer for Usher, just did the Super Bowl.
Okay.
We
Mm-hmm.
walked in and we did a jam session. And I've been meaning to do a song that represents me as a singer and a saxophonist. And I was like,
Right.
Mm.
what song do
Okay.
people know that I could do
Yeah.
both? Right. So I was like,
Okay.
rock steady. Rock steady, baby.
Ooh.
But I
Come on
will
with the
now.
Aretha.
It's like
Yes.
that gives
Yeah.
people that, and then ba-da-ba, sa-da-ba,
Ooh. Ooh.
ba-da-ba.
Yeah.
You remember
Mm.
that horn line, right?
Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
is Kat? Kat is a soulful singer that will, I want to get under your skin. I want to
Mm.
make you feel. If you
Mm.
haven't felt today, I want to make you feel
Feel
emotion
something.
crying. I want you to feel
Yes.
emotions of laughing. I want you to feel desperate. I want you to feel excited. I want you to feel all of those emotions. I saw the Bob Marley movie, and the one thing that took me in was how when he would get on stage, he didn't care about how his body moves. Like you said earlier, Ken, that
You got
I
to
have
move.
some moves. When I get on stage, it's
You
about
just
me
let it
just
flow.
like getting in there.
Yeah.
I think of
Yeah.
Mary J. I feel like she's not that person that will be a dance person, but she's gonna get in her pocket.
She's gonna get it. Yeah. Yeah.
Wait,
You're
Orange, do
gonna
those
want to get
moves
in the
again for
pocket
me,
with
Orange.
her.
Wait a minute, because I remember those moves. There you
Right.
go.
Yes, same thing
There
with
you go.
Bob. Like same thing with Bob Marley.
Yeah.
You could see when
In
he would
that
get on
zone.
stage, he would be
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
"Stir it up," and
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter what he
Mm-hmm.
was singing.
Mm-hmm.
He was in it, and he forgot about everyone else, and he did it for him. And I want
Yeah.
when you see me on that stage, I want you to forget about everything else,
Yeah.
and for you to see me doing that for me. So who is she? Who is Orange Coffee? She's a soulful singer that's trying to get under your,
Yes.
trying to make you feel something. If you didn't feel
That.
today, I want
Yes.
you ended up feeling something by the time you end up. By the moment you
Yes.
leave my presence, I want you to feel something.
That is so important in music because a lot of music nowadays it makes you feel but not the right kind of emotions, I would
Mm.
say.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and it helps a lot of it is desensitizing people. So
It
just the
really is.
fact
That
that
frequency on that
that
new music,
frequency is
it's on purpose,
crazy.
for real, for real.
It desensitizes you. So
Mm-hmm.
just to pump emotion into the music that says, hey, I just want you to feel whatever it might be. When you hear certain songs of mine, I want you to have emotion. I want
Yep.
you to feel. That's so
Mm-hmm.
important.
Yeah.
That's
There's
so
one song
important.
that's short. And I have D Dub on that one. So if y'all love
Mm.
bass lines, Dwayne Wright, he's now playing with the Roots, and if you saw Jill Scott lately,
Ooh.
Shout out to the
Jill.
Roots because they bringing that picnic back too, baby. I gotta get out
Yes,
there.
in
Woo! I gotta
Philly.
get out there.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes,
and
It's
the
so
lineup
the
is
Roots
crazy.
picnic.
yes. So I have a song that's called Who Knew? And the song is basically just saying, who knew?
Mm.
Who knew it was gonna be this way? It was gonna be this way. And so it's just getting
Don't
into
wait a
that.
minute.
I mean,
Don't
right,
do that
exactly right. She
vibrato
Just
just
like
cavalierly
that.
did
And
that and
then
dropped it
don't
on us,
try
right,
to
Tree?
just what?
so I just want to show how the influence of everything kind of ties together in this one. So I'm excited for it. So check out Want Me Back March 15th, a week from today. And yeah, I'm excited. You're going to hear a single every month.
Okay.
I'm
So
I'm
you just
waiting.
you giving
I'm
breadcrumbs,
ready.
right? Oh yeah, I'm
I
ready.
am.